you came back. Thank you. Thank you for coming back. I don't have like a rhythm for this thing. I'm just gonna, when I feel the need to share, I'm going to share. So I don't know if it's gonna be on a Monday. The last one was on a Tuesday, Wednesday. But I know that I started it, and I started for a reason. I get a little nervous, although I've lived it, and I'm very transparent in person and in real life. Having to put these pieces together and share them as properly as I can be a little nerve-wracking. So when you hear me making the corny jokes, that might be a deflection, nervous moment. I'm giving you all my secrets. But in the club, forget it. But no, really, this is a safe space, and I'm going to use this safe space and this platform of the sister session to invite that same energy in and that same vibe that we create when it's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 20 of us sitting around talking, and we're sharing and we're good. So I'm gonna tap into that. So in the last video, I shared with you everything that happened, and I said that I was going to come back and break it down and make sense of all the things, and I'm still going to do that. I'm going to do that right now while I clean my face for bed. So again, I wrote down notes, and again, I'm going to begin with an affirmation. And okay, so I got this book, notebook with affirmations, where I'm writing down my notes, where I'm writing down a few things that I don't want to forget to share with you guys, and kind of wordage and verbiage and dates and blah, blah, blah. And the affirmation for this page says, my voice and opinions matter. And do. So that's, you're welcome. I just shared that with you because when I opened it, I was like, okay, that's the affirmation for the day. Cool. My voice and opinions matter. Let me tap into that. Let me share from that space, right? So in the beginning, me getting kicked out. When I got kicked out, my life was threatened. I was told if I did not leave their home, they were going to kill me. He said it in front of my mother after I left. When I came back to get some things after I had left, he said, she couldn't have stayed here because I was gonna kill her in this house. Okay. He had told 2 other people on a call that we were on months later that, again, I needed to leave his house because he was going to kill me if I didn't leave his house. And he also said it in front of 3 police officers in January of 2024 when I had to call them for assistance for a domestic matter, if you will. So, more on that to come. But, yeah, one thing I do want to say about that, and I did write that down, it's not in his normal nature that I was aware of to be violent, but a lot of the things that I've experienced in the last 4 years also wasn't in his nature, but just don't play with that. Like if someone says that they are going to do something to you, even though your pride is like, you ain't going, well, I'm gonna get mine, don't play with it, don't chance it, because all it takes is for that one day, that one time, for that person to lose that one marble, and it could go a totally different way, and it's not worth it. It's really not. It's really not worth it. So that's my serious nugget that I want to add there. And yeah. Okay, with that being said, let's go back. So that happens on like November 4th-ish. I believe that was like a Thursday, if I recall. Of 2020, so November 2020. Mind you, by this time, I was already legally done with this person. I'm going to use different verbiage on purpose. But yeah, I was already legally done with this person. I was free of the responsibilities legally of this person. And the day that we signed those papers, we went back to the house because, as I mentioned in the previous video, we were cohabitating due to COVID and due to my job being not being one of those jobs where you can still go to work every day. So I was out of work and on unemployment for several months. I had gone back to work previously because I knew that we were legally finalizing things, and I wanted to be able to step out, branch out, do my thing for me and my children. That is who I am. That's what I do. So yeah, the day that we signed the paperwork, we went back to the house and we sat in the backyard and watched our kids play. We sat and talked about life, and yeah, because like I said, we were already done before the papers were signed. Like, so this wasn't like, oh my gosh, we did it. It was like, okay, cool, we did it. And so I feel like I'm rambling now. I'm gonna do that a little bit. Get with me. What was it? Right. So, like I said, we played in the backyard, or the kids played in the backyard while we sat and we just chilled and we talked. And then days later was my birthday, and we all went out to dinner as a family, or he went out with us. I knew where I was going and that my kids were going with me. And I invited him because, again, we're cohabitating. I don't hate you. Like, we're good. If you want to go, you can. And then it ended up being a weird family-looking birthday dinner for me. So yeah, that was in July. Fast forward to November. He comes back in the house. Okay. So 2 days prior to the argument, he asked me, did I like someone? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, well, why didn't you tell me? Like, I thought we were cool. I thought we were friends. I thought that you could tell me that you like someone. And I said, well, it's nothing serious. And I didn't think that we were on that level where I'm telling my ex-legal partner that I like someone, I'm interested in someone. Like, I didn't think we were there at all. And then I'm like, so where did that come from? He said, oh, somebody says that they saw you guys somewhere. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe they did. And he asked me something else, and I said, you said that you were headed out. Are you sure you want to talk about this now? He was like, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. I said, okay, cool. That was it. He did not come back to the house the next day. The children were doing remote learning. So the next morning, I'm calling around to see if he's good, if he's okay. And I got a vague confirmation from one of his family members who was trying to be respectful of what, he needed, and tell me that he was alive and he was okay, because said person has quite a few health concerns. So here we are cohabitating, and you just don't show up. That's weird. Are you okay? Are you dead on the side of the road somewhere? Like, should I call someone? Long story short, so he comes back to the house 2 days later, or a full day and a half later, and he is upset. And he's like, you need to leave. I'm sorry? What? Like, what are you talking about? I saw the messages. I saw your Pinterest. I saw your Pinterest. You guys have been doing this behind my back. What are you talking about? I saw that you've been talking to him on Pinterest, and you guys have been planning your life together. What are you talking about? So he finally got around to what he was talking about. Again, still vague, because he felt like he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to say much. And I was a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of names. And some of it was in front of the kids. Some of it wasn't. And yeah, so I tried to fill in the gaps, fill in the space of the conversation, because again, he was very upset, very irate, I know what I'm talking about, and I saw the call logs. And I said, well, yeah, if you've seen the call logs from the past couple of months. But again, to this day, guys, I haven't deleted anything from my Pinterest, because the person in question, that person he's talking about, they were newly divorced, remodeling their home. Remodeling parts of the bedroom, remodeling parts of his backyard. So in there, you'll see that we did keto together, along with about 10 other people in a Facebook group. But I included him because around the same time we were friends and he wanted to lose weight as well. So I invited him to a couple of keto groups. I introduced him to other people who was losing weight. Is the right one? Yes. I introduced him to other people that were trying to lose weight as well. So we were sharing recipes. We were sharing decor. Yeah. So what you gathered from that, and again, I don't know how far back he went. Some of it as of recently at that time wasn't more personal, but the goal and the purpose and the premise of the messages was to help and assist the person who I deemed as a friend in that season of my life, right? So, like I said, he didn't really want to talk much about it. He really wasn't trying to hear much of anything that I was saying. And again, if you know me in person, if you're not trying to hear what I have to say, I'm not about to argue with you, especially when I don't care. If I've not done anything to you and I don't care, you can say what you want. Like Michelle said, blame it on me, say it's my fault. But we done, right? Are we done? We're good? All right, cool. Like, it doesn't really matter how you feel about me. We have business to attend to. We'll attend to that business and we can be done with anything personal because I really don't. And it doesn't matter because I'm done. Okay. So, yeah, the conversation got really heated. And that particular day, no, he did not threaten my life. But a few days later, we had another big blow up. And that's when he told me that he was going to kill me if I didn't leave his house, and how he's a good shot, and that he was going to kill me if I didn't leave his house. So the 2 weeks that I did stay there, so I'm looking at my notes, he was very aggressive and very argumentative. I remember one night he barged into my room. So again, we're sleeping separately. I'm downstairs in the den. There's a room in the den. And then he was sleeping upstairs in this house. The previous house, I was upstairs and he was downstairs in the basement. He had just purchased his house. The previous one was a rental. He had just purchased his house 1 month before we got divorced. Crazy. I had to sign papers for him to get some funds for him to get the house that I got kicked out of. All good. Doesn't even matter. But, so we were on the same phone bill. So one night he came to my room, busting the door. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was laying in the bed with one of my small children at the time, and he has T-Mobile on the phone. And he's getting me kicked off of his T-Mobile bill. Again, okay, cool. I'll get off your T-Mobile bill. It's really okay. Because up until that point, we're on the same bill, but I was giving him money after we got divorced, or I said the word. After we were done. I was giving him money for my phone bill, but we were still on the same line for the plan or the perks, whatever. Again, it didn't matter. Like, it just worked, so it wasn't anything serious. And so he's getting me off the phone bill. Y'all, he took Netflix away from me. He told me I got to get my own Netflix account. I was like, dang, Netflix? I can't keep the Netflix though. So I did that night, and from that night on, I began to lock my door because I believe earlier that day was when he had it up to here with me. And I guess my nonchalant response to what he was giving me really took him over the edge. Looking at my notes, y'all. Looking at my notes. I said that don't play with people when they threaten you and say crazy things. Don't do that. Oh, and I'm going to kind of wrap it up here because I feel like I'm rambling. And then I'm going to get into how I got to North Carolina, and then I'll be done. So a couple of people have asked me, why did you leave the house? Why didn't you go stay with someone else who was still in the state? Yeah, those are the two questions that I got most, right? So why did I leave the house? When someone threatens you, like I said earlier, don't play with that, right? And like I said, right after, he had become very aggressive and very argumentative. And I am not from the state that I reside in right now. I am from Southside Jamaica, Queens, and it's crazy. #Nikki. And I'm not from here. And so we moved here because his job relocated him here. And that this is where we started our blended family. and where we added to our family. And so I had nowhere to go. So again, COVID, not much saved in the bank, not much credit history because I was a homemaker for a while, and then I basically was like feeling like on an island by myself because I had no one to really. My village isn't here. And then the second part of that is, why didn't I go and stay with someone else in the state? It was during COVID. Like, if you guys remember what it was like, November of COVID, like the first November of COVID, there are people who didn't even see their families for a while and weren't trying to come together around the dinner table for Thanksgiving because the CDC and the state and the laws or whatever it was, or state mandates were, do not congregate in groups of more than so-and-so. And then also it was like, if you are sickly or you're sick and elderly, then you should, stay away and shelter in place and things of that nature. And the two people that I could have, was it 3 at the time? 2 or 3 people that I could have gone to stay with. It's like, it's me and my 4 kids. Even if the 2 that were from the relationship were to go back and forth, it's 3 people, 5 possible. That's a lot of people to take in during COVID, where people are fearing for their lives, trying to survive, trying to figure out what's the right thing to do, how risky can we get with not sheltering in place, and what are the rules, and how's your health. Like, it was just too much. So during that time, they knew what they were doing. They didn't want to hear anything. They didn't want to comb through whatever they had found. I even volunteered, I will show you whatever you think you saw and we can talk about it. That was not an option at all. So long story short, I left November 17th. So almost 2 weeks later, I left. I packed up my car with all the children, and we had already agreed previously that I was going to visit my mom, or go to my mom for Thanksgiving. COVID, and I was going to see my mama. I hadn't seen her in a while. She was working in a hospital at the time. I know that probably sounds crazy, because why would you go to see her? She's working in a hospital. But my mom, I was going to see my mom, okay, and be with family. And again, we were then divorced at the time, so I don't want to spend the holidays with you. I don't want to do that. No, not at this time. So I packed up the kids, packed up my car with as many belongings as I could, and I took the car that I was awarded in the divorce, since I already said the word divorce, and we went to North Carolina. I made the 12+ hour drive, and we did it. And I got there, and that was one of the best seasons in my life. I was able to heal. I was safe. My children were safe and loved on. We had a village, because here where we're staying was very lonely. It was very lonely. A lot of the connections that I made were directly connected or tied to him, and I didn't need that in my life anymore. I needed to break away from that unhealthy stuff, because for a long time I didn't even talk about what I was going through, and a lot of people, I couldn't talk about what I was going through because of his position in the faith. So that's how I got to North Carolina. That's how the shat hit the fan. And that's the start of why I'm sharing my journey, because a lot of things have happened and I haven't talked about it. So here we are.